So this video review is going to be a spoiler review for the movie Jailbreak. The reason being because I tried to do a non-spoiler review and it ended up being 10 minutes anyway because I had so many problems with it. But if you're unfamiliar, Jailbreak is a martial arts film. It's Cambodian, 2017. It's on Netflix. That's the reason why I checked it out. I was just looking for a simple, martial arts flick. And so I watched it and let's just go into the story. So Playboy is arrested. He is the nickname of a man who is, the police arrest him because they think he is the leader of the Butterflies gang. However, he says he's not, and he's willing to testify for leniency. So Madame Butterfly doesn't like this, so she hires a couple of assassins in the prison. Bolo, he's like a inmate, and they're prepared to kill Playboy so that he cannot testify. So 4 cops are going to transport Playboy to the prison. There's Lee, he's the new guy, he doesn't speak the same language as them. There's Dara, he doesn't like Lee for some reason. And then there's Slacker Suchiat and Tharoth, the female. So the 4 of them bring Playboy, they do the transfer and everything's going good. And then Bolo fakes a seizure in order to get the keys. However, he drops them and another prisoner unlocks it, and what's turned into supposedly just a simple assassination, like a prison shanking, has now become a full-scale riot. So that's a pretty interesting premise for a martial arts movie, you got 4 cops, they're trapped in a prison riot, they don't have all their weapons. It's going to be a rough and tumble kind of action flick. And it is. The movie does have some wonderful action sequences. Around the 30-minute mark, there's a uncut scene of them just fighting a whole group of inmates in one take. It's a pretty well done sequence. And then there's about 2 more really good fight scenes, one involving a machete, another one involving a sort of duel. And all of these, however, only take place with Jean-Paul Lee, the main character, or the actor, anyways. And besides the fight scenes, there's not much else that the movie has to offer. There is a hilarious prison guard who's just like tagging along with them for the entire movie because he was just with them, and he doesn't know how to fight, so he just body checks people and he helps them out in the fights, but it's just hilarious how he's just sort of there. He doesn't have a name or anything, he's just like, blue-collar worker just there, and he doesn't want to get shanked by the rioters, so he's just tagging along with the main characters. So that's a really nice addition to the film. But other than that, though, the movie is just wildly awful. Every other aspect of the film is equally awful as the fight scenes are good, which kind of made me angry because, when you watch a martial arts film, you're there for the martial arts, but if in order to get to those martial arts, you have to sit through excruciating acting, terrible plot holes, and all sorts of just nonsensical things. It kind of, brings down your enjoyment because, while you're waiting to get to those action sequences, you're sitting there with all this mediocrity. So the first thing I want to mention is the acting is pretty awful. The characters, they have an argument scene and it just seems like they're arguing whether they're going to get pizza or Chinese food after. And for some reason, 2 of the characters don't want to go rescue the person they just transferred. But, why would 2 cops just not want to do that? Then they change their mind 5 seconds after, so it doesn't matter. And then so the acting's not that hot, but whatever, they're martial artists. I don't expect the, amazing Oscar-worthy performances, but the movie's littered with plot holes. For example, there's a scene where Lee and Daroth, they get separated from the others, and they're fighting some people, some inmates, and they get knocked out. 10 minutes before that, Bolo was trying to rile up the prison by saying, we're going to kill all the guards, we're going to kill all the cops, we're going to kill Playboy, we're going to kill all the people we don't like in the prison, we're going to do this. 10 minutes later, they managed to, take down 2 cops, don't kill them. They knock out Lee, and they're all taken out by, multiple guys, and they just leave them. And I'm like, that could have easily been fixed by having Daroth fight the guy that was on top of her, grab the machete that Lee dropped, and then, sort of show that she's not willing to go down without a fight, and then the villains can be like, okay, maybe we shouldn't, there's 5 of us, but we shouldn't, try to attack one person with a machete, that's dangerous. We should go complete our mission, go execute Playboy. And then they walk away, cut their losses, but they don't do that. Another plot hole is that, Suchiat, Dara, and the prison guard that they're with, they bump into this group, fight them, beat them, and they get a cell phone. So they try to call their colonel for backup because there's a riot going on. He's in the shower, which is fine. But, if they call 10 minutes later, he's not going to be in the shower anymore. Can't they, get back up then. And it just such bad storytelling. I mean, either you make the Colonel corrupt and he's trying to like not, he's working for Madame Butterfly or something and he's trying to like not give them help, or they call him 10 minutes later when he's not in the shower, and then boom, the movie's over. Or you could have another person attack them, break the cell phone in the fight, and their line of escape is gone. It's that simple. It's like, you just have to write a little bit better. Having him be in the shower doesn't mean anything because you can just call him 10 minutes later. And in the movie itself, he's literally going to bed. The Colonel is going to bed and he gets like a call from someone saying, oh, hey, by the way, they're not back from the prison transfer. I'm like, if he's going to bed, it means like they left during the day. Like, did like 8 hours pass or something? Like, just nonsensical storytelling. And I think the biggest sin that this film commits is probably the last 30 minutes or so. Basically, Madame Butterfly, she's fed up with the fact that her assassins have not been able to take out Playboy. So she shows up at the prison herself. She gasses all the prison guards and shows up with this female posse of like dangerous looking ladies, and they all have like scythes and weapons. And I'm like, oh, the villains have shown up. It's going to be like fight fest. And then though that the gang of female like warrior ladies, they're not shown doing anything in the movie. They just literally walk up to the prison and they're not shown doing anything. And I was expecting like at least to have them looking for Playboy, cutting up prisoners, and being like a sort of mini bosses before you get to the main villain, and they don't do that. Instead, Lee and Dara meet up with the prison guard and they fight Bolo one-on-one for some reason, despite the fact there's like 20 inmates in that room. And then Daroth takes on Madame Butterfly solo one-on-one as well. And then the movie ends without any resolution. And that kind of pissed me off the most because, you're sitting there waiting for like the story. Are they going to get Playboy or not? Are they going to rescue him? Are they going to put down the bad guy? And then you're left without any like resolution for the story. And then in the mid-credit sequence, we find out the reason for the entire movie, and it's all just one big joke. And it's really insulting. It honestly feels like the people who made this movie just were more focused on the martial arts sequences than on the story, and they were just like taking the piss out of it. And I mean, there are moments of the film where like characters don't seem to be taking things seriously, like Suchiet like tries to have a cigarette in the middle of a fight scene, things like that. And the movie's really inconsistent. I mean, the movie does have really good aesthetic and like premise and everything, because every time they run into like another wing of the prison, they have to fight a bunch of guys, and it feels like a video game. You can pick up weapons, you have to fight like 10 guys before you can move on to the next, and you can see like the main characters getting tired as they can't fight forever. They need to find a way to escape. And I just felt like the story department and the characters were really weak, to the point where almost infuriating, because you're just sitting there waiting for the next action sequence, and instead you're getting really bad acting or nonsensical story. So Jailbreak, I wasn't expecting much because it's just like a movie on Netflix, but it really disappointing. Really great fight scenes, terrible everything else, and it doesn't also showcase Bokator, which is the Cambodian martial art that would later influence Muay Thai. So that's another thing they could have done. I thought there's a lot of movies out there that introduce a martial art to the mainstream, like Ong Bak with Muay Thai, and Pankak Salat with the Raid Redemption and the Raid 2. So this movie doesn't really, do anything to show like how unique Bokator is. So that was another, missed opportunity. Jailbreak is middlingly entertaining film, but definitely disappointing in all the other aspects. And it felt like maybe they ran out of budget for the last 20 minutes or so, because just like it fell apart. And so I give Jailbreak a 3 out of 10.